So we're going to talk a bit about using up leftover smoked salmon. Often we tend to get a lovely big smoked salmon for Christmas, and then you have to use it quite quickly. It will not refreeze in the same way that turkey does. It affects the texture if you freeze it. So it really needs to be used within a couple of days, a day or two after Christmas. You could just use it for a nice brunch on St. Stephen's Day. You could flake the smoked salmon into some omelets or some scrambled eggs just to make them a little bit more luxurious and decadent. Or you could just chop it up finely, add it to some mashed potato and some chives or onions and make little fish cakes and fry those. That's a really good way to use it up. One way I like to use it up, and I'm going to show you, is just to do a tagliatelli, but you could do spaghetti in a creamy leek sauce. It's really easy to do, and it takes about 10 minutes in total. And all you need for this is your leftover smoked salmon or smoked trout, any other fish that you might have, or even if you had some shrimps, or you could do this with turkey, although you just shred the turkey finely. You need a little bit of cream. That's about 150 ml of cream. I've got some lemon. I've juiced about half a lemon, and I'm going to zest a bit more because the lemon really just livens up the smoked salmon. Some fresh parsley, and then just some parmesan to serve it with. So the first thing we're going to do is to put the tagliatelli on, and you'll see how quickly this is. You need a nice big pan of boiling water. It needs to be in a rolling boil for pasta when you put it in, and it needs to be really well salted. So I'll probably add about a teaspoon and half of salt to this, so that if you were to try it, although you won't because it's red hot, it tastes salty, a bit like the sea. So plenty of salt, and then once it's on that rolling boil, you can see the bubbles, just pop your pasta in. No need to put oil in. The pasta won't stick if you have enough water in there anyway. So the pasta's on. In the meantime, we are going to saute the leeks. We have some lovely leeks here. You could use shallots instead, or some onions. I like the flavour of the leeks with the butter and with the smoked salmon, but really whatever you have in will be good. So you just need a fairly decent sized pan, and then once the butter's melted, we're going to add the leeks and just saute them to soften them up. I am going to be adding some peas to this as well, just some frozen peas. I know they probably won't be left over, but peas are a great source of protein, and they last for ages in the freezer, and they're always useful to have, and it just makes the dish a little more colourful as well and adds a different texture. Oops. So the pasta is on, a nice boil there. Have a plate ready because this really is going to be very, very quick. Once the butter has melted, we will add the leeks and a bit of seasoning and just let them saute in that butter. So the butter's pretty much melted, it's starting to foam, which is lovely. You don't want to burn the butter. Leeks can burn quite quickly as well. So once they're in, you'll need to stir them every now and again, and also just use your spoon or spatula just to break them down a little bit so that they're sauteing in a nice amount of butter there. So while the leeks are on, the pasta is on, I'm just going to chop the parsley. You could use parsley, you could use chives with this. You could always add a little bit of basil, but I wouldn't use too much because it has quite a strong flavour. Parsley is lovely and fresh. Chives work really well with the fish as well, so fresh herbs really, really help with this dish. So I'm just going to chop that up. Try not to use too much of the parsley stems because the stems don't have any flavour and they can be a bit hard as well. So, and then the parsley we're going to add on right at the end. And a little bit of salt and pepper on the leeks. And you can use any pasta shape for this. I like the way the cream coats the tagliatelli. But spaghetti would work, linguine, angel hair. If you're in a real rush, actually, angel hair is great because it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to cook. So once this starts getting a bit softer, it'll be ready to combine everything. So then once the leeks have softened, we'll then add the cream and the peas to them. And then the smoked salmon gets added last of all. Just break up some of those leeks. It's a really simple, easy dinner or lunch. And you can serve this with a nice fresh green salad. So I'm just going to add the peas. They are straight from frozen and they'll just defrost in the buttery sauce here. You could always add the leeks to the pasta as well if you wanted to. Either is fine. And we'll just wait for those leeks to soften a few more minutes. The pasta is almost done. I want it to be soft but still have a little bit of bite. So, you know what the Italians would say, al dente. So that is not done yet, but it's almost there. And then we need to add some lemon zest. So I'd say zest from probably about half a lemon. And when we drain the pasta, we're going to keep a little bit of the pasta sauce as well, reserve probably about half a cup of it just to add to the creamy sauce, because the starchiness of the pasta just adds a sort of extra level of almost creaminess to this. So whenever you're cooking a pasta dish, even if you're doing a bolognese, just use a little bit of that salty pasta water and add it to your sauce, and it really just enhances the sauce. So I've added the zest. I haven't added the lemon juice yet. I'll add the lemon juice when I add the cream, which will be quite soon. The leeks are starting to soften. I don't want them to go brown, so I'm just keeping an eye on those. And the pasta is almost done. So I'm going to add a little bit of the cream. And some lemon juice. And you want to warm the cream through. And then we'll add the salmon once the cream is warmed up a little bit. The salmon really doesn't need to cook, you just need to impart that flavour and just need to warm it. So that pasta is done, so I'm going to go and drain the pasta. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of the pasta sauce and come back and just assemble that, and we'll have a lovely quick lunch. So I've drained the pasta's done. The cream, the lemon juice, zest and garlic and leeks have all been simmering with the peas and the cream, so we've got a lovely creamy sauce. So I'm just going to add the smoked salmon to that, and then we're going to toss in the pasta into here. Easier if I had tongs here, but this will work. And then a little bit of that reserved pasta cooking liquid just to add a little bit of extra creaminess. So it's still on the heat here, and just to make sure that the smoked salmon is warmed through. And then to serve, we are going to sprinkle it with just that parsley we chopped up for a bit of extra freshness. Before you do, try it. It's really important just to try everything. So I'm just going to try and make sure there's enough salt and pepper in there. There should be enough salt from the smoked salmon. Maybe a tiny bit more pepper. And it's nice and lemony, tiny bit of lemon zest. And just parsley over it. And then a sprinkle of Parmesan. And then I'll just let everybody help themselves to this and serve this with a nice fresh green pasta. We have smoked salmon, tagliatelli. So you could do this with smoked trout if you have that left over. You could do it with shredded turkey. I would add some more herbs if you added the turkey